welcome back to the second part of our tutorial video. In the first part we carried out the maintenance on the power unit and went through all the functioning parts there. Now we're ready to move on to the guide bar and cutting system. When we've removed the guide bar, we're going to do a few visual checks before we carry out any maintenance, and we're going to be looking that the bar is straight, that the rails are even, and that we haven't got too much wear in the depth of that. We're looking for bluing, any cracks, any wear and tear on the bar itself. We'll be checking the sprocket, and once we're happy with that, we'll go and dress the bar and clean it out. So with the appropriate tool, which I've selected, the bar cleaner, I'm going to just clean down in between the rails on each side, working away from the sprocket so we're not putting any waste material into there. Thoroughly cleaning that out. Along with the oil ports here, obviously that's going to deliver the lubrication to the chain and the drive links, so we need to make sure they're clear. Like so. Then I'm going to dress the bar and check that we've got even rails with a set square. If I need to do anything with that, I'm going to put the bar in a vise. Again, working away from the sprocket, the file at a 90-degree angle. It's gently just going to take off any imperfections, making sure the rails are even. Turn the bar. Carry out the same that side. Rechecking that we're level, and then just remove any burrs or excess material from the edge, working down away from the sprocket again. So moving on to the chain now, before I put this saw back together, I'm going to give this a quick visual inspection, and what I'm looking for is wear on the ties, any cracks, any excessive burrs on the drive links. If we did require a new chain, we're going to need some key information, i.e. the length of the bar, the number of drive links, the pitch and gauge of the chain, and the cutter type on the cutting teeth. This information can be found on the bar. Obviously, sometimes this wears off with use. It may be an old bar, so we can refer to the operator's handbook, find that information there. Otherwise, there's information on the chain. We'll have a manufacturer's stamp within that, a number on the drive link that will identify the type of chain, and using a chain chart, we can identify some key information on what we need. If we haven't got that to hand, we can do the pitch by measuring 3 ties, rivets, and dividing that by 2. Or we can use a little tool like this, placing that on the chain, and that will give us the measurement of the pitch. It's also got the gauge as well, so we can put a drive link in there, and that will give us the measurement on the gauge. So with that information, we can order a new chain or find the correct chain and replace it ourselves. So now we've checked our bar, cleaned it, dressed it, we've checked the chain, we're happy with that, we've got all the information we need for selecting file size and so on and so forth. We've got no stiff links, we're ready to reassemble the unit and carry out maintenance on the cutting teeth. So just reassembling the unit, I've rotated the bar for even wear, and I'm at a point now where I need to just adjust the chain for the correct tension. So I'm just going to use the adjuster screw there. Just as we come, I'm going to put it up just so it lifts the bar. Once I'm happy with that, use the back of the sword, put that weight to lift the bar up. Just tighten that off. Making sure the side case bolts are secure. So we have movement and that we got the correct tension. Okay. So I've checked the tension. I know we haven't got any slack there. I've lifted the bar to the appropriate point. And on the final, I've tightened the side case bolts up. I'm just going to check the bar. If we move this slowly, we'll drag the saw across the bench. If we go move it with a bit more force, the power unit will stay in situ. So I've fixed the unit in a vise, ready to carry out maintenance on the cutting teeth. Using the information we gained earlier, identifying the chain and the type, we've got an Oregon 21, so I can use their file chart, their chain chart here, to identify what size file I need, the filing angle, and the measurement on the depth gauge. Obviously that's going to contradict how much material is taken out with that cutting gullet. We also need to identify where we're going to start on the chain, and we do this by finding the most damaged or the cutting tooth that's going to need the most filing back. And we can do that by visual check and measuring with calipers. Okay, so I've now identified the shortest cutting tooth. There's very little damage to these. Obviously, they're quite looked after by the students who are quite good at this here at Pershore. So there's very little difference. But I'm going to mark that as the shortest cutting tooth. So once I've identified this one, I'm just going to bring that up, give that a sharpen using the guide, making sure that my 30 degree is parallel to the bar here and I've got the correct angles. Once I'm happy with that and I've removed enough material, I'm going to mark that with a pen. That way when I work round the bar now, I know that that's the one I started with. And we'll just repeat that process, moving around the bar. So we worked around the cutting system, and as we went we checked the cutter length, keeping equal cutter length because obviously that's important to the efficiency of the cutting of the saw as we go along. Once we've done both sides of the cutting system, we can then check the depth gauges. According to our file chart, it's set at 0.65. Select the appropriate gauge. If we need to make a tweak, we can then just dip this tool to protect the cutting tooth that we've already sharpened and just give that a couple of strokes with a flat file. Replace and check, move on to the next cutting system. So I've just finished maintaining the cutting system there. We really do need to take our time. It's an important part of the maintenance. It really does affect the overall performance of the saw. If we don't have the correct filing angles on our chart and the top plate and side plate angles on the chain, we're going to be filing correctly. The saw's not going to be efficient. It's going to increase vibration, chance of kickback, and overall be an inefficient cutting system. Also on the chain, we identified what cutter types we have. On this one, we have a semi-chisel, which is a good all-round chain, broadleaf or hardwoods and softwoods. Or we have a full chisel, where the top plate and the side plate are at right angles, and that's for fast cutting through softwood. You could use it on hardwood, Again, it's going to affect the aggressiveness of the cut. It's going to increase kickback. It's really down to an experienced operator's discretion to put that on. And that concludes this part of the video.